you know, what happened hundreds of years ago.
I'm advocating giving that land back. That's what I'm saying. Before they
sorry, could you sit down? I'm talking. You're being very rude. You're talking over me, and I'm chairing this meeting. I'm not going to have it descending into farce. We are civilised people. I don't want that. I'm just making the point. You are talking about conflicts, and many people here haven't been to, they don't know the context of it, and I'm reluctant to ask people to comment on it because, you know, they may not have attended. Now this, you know, I think we're going to be fair on this. We're basing on facts now and the rule of law. If people want to test it, Turkish Cypriots who, you know, their ancestors who belong to them want to test it, you know, I think they can test it in the European court, so there's nothing to stop you doing that.
You're giving wrong information, they can't. European law is for persons, not for
Alright, so do you want to
Şimdi bakın, burada duydum işte Taner Bey geldi, galiba size bir takım şeyler aktardı. Memlekette de aktarır bunları. Taner Bey de kimse bugüne kadar bir itibar etmedi. Çünkü eğer elinizde veya onun elinde belge varsa çıkarırsınız bunu, uluslararası hukukun önüne koyarsınız. Ama ben size bir şey söyleyeyim. 1955-58 döneminde zamanın toplum liderliği Doktor Küçük ve Denktaş oradaki vakıf mallarını devretti, aldıkları parayla saray, otel ve benzerini inşa ettiler. Dolayısıyla bunları da toplumun bilmesinde yarar var.
Can you translate?
Please translate.
translate that?
Sure. The gentleman that you're referring to might have come here to give you a conference and might have given you certain information. He does that all the time in Cyprus as well, but no one takes him seriously. What is a fact, however, is that back in the 50s, the leader of the time, Mr. Denktaş, they did give those properties that belonged to EFKAF in return for exchange of property for Sarajevo and some other buildings. So what you're talking about is a debatable issue and it's not set in stone. For it to be clarified, it has to go to some European
We're not
court.
clarifying it in this meeting tonight.
That's what we said, there has to be a law.
Well, there is no negotiation. We can't comment.
My question is quite simple.
Yes. You said we want.
Mehmet Yılmaz, Turkish Cypriot, in 60 years. You talked about the income from the profits that we're going to make from the hydrocarbons. You've said that the Turkish share will be put into a bank account, is that correct? Until the 70s, isn't it?
That's a proposal.
Will that apply to the Greek income as well, or will they be able to use that money straight away? Because if that's the case, I don't see a settlement being made ever, and the Turkish shareholders' income will never be passed over to the Turks.
Thank you. Gentleman here.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. May I first of all welcome and congratulate our speakers. It really is a breath of fresh air to have people who are reasonable in their views and are able to sit down and discuss these problems with us. I particularly want to congratulate Ms. Birinci for having the guts to do what she did and stand for election. And if we're able to sort out the administrative problems and make certain that all the Turkish Cypriots are registered properly, then we will go another step forward, and a very important one. And I think you really deserve our congratulations and our thanks for opening the road. That's the first point I want to make. The second point I'd like to make is that perhaps the impression has been given that reasonable people are only on the Turkish Cypriot side. As one who has participated in that communal work myself, both from here and from Cyprus, I know there's a very large community of Greek Cypriots who are just as committed as you are to finding a solution, and we must encourage even more the contact between them, and especially this country. I remember 30 years ago we used to have a much greater contact between the two communities, and I was on a number of, how shall we put it, representative bodies where we met regularly and discussed these problems. Unfortunately, this was disrupted for reasons we need not go into the past, but I think it is something which we definitely need to encourage again, both Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot communities in this country to get together and try to sort a few things out. We are one step further away, and although we are all subject to the pressures of the political parties of both the north and the south of the island, we do have more independence, and I think we do have, as a community, more to contribute. And I would like to see this starting again, and I'd like to hear the views of the panel on that. I'd like to say a couple of things on carbon. Yes, I'll be very quick. I will be very quick indeed on hydrocarbons. The request for the Turkish Cypriot to participate in the current arrangements and negotiations bring the problems of recognizing or not the administration of the North. And that is a really a very big problem, obviously. If, on the other hand, Turkish Cypriots, who are experts, could come forward to participate as individuals in the various committees, I'm sure the Cyprus government will be prepared to look at that, importantly. This question of putting, first of all, President Anastasiadis, as we already have heard, stuck his neck out and argued for people to vote for the Annan plan. He voted for it himself. He has come in with real intentions of solving this problem as much as possible. He does, of course, have the rejectionist side on the other side, and as president, somehow or other, he has to keep his community together. But there is no doubt whatsoever that he is determined, as much as during this period, to sort the problem out. And this is, we come now to the just 1 second, please. Yeah, I'm just going to put this problem with hydrocarbons. We're talking of putting the money in a fund for the Turkish Cypriot later. Listen, this is going to be years to come. It's not tomorrow, it's not the day after. We have plenty of time to solve the problem, if we really want to, before any money comes for either the Greek Cypriot or the Turkish Cypriots. Let's get on and try to agree among ourselves and solve the problem. Thank you.
Break taboos, and I believe that we each can and we should in our own way, in our own personal lives. And we don't need to be politicians, we don't even need to be in active politics, but in our own daily lives there is so much that we can do to break the circle. Regarding the hydrocarbons, the revenue that Turkish Cypriots are going to get, that's the proposal of the Greek Cypriot side for it to be put. It's not even the actual current proposal, it's what was agreed in the previous terms. But there is this idea which is left in suspense, and even if that were the case, you're right. I mean, if it were to come, it's going to come so many years later. I mean, we're not there. We're not interested in that. I said for my own share, I'm ready and willing to donate it to whoever it wants, just to show that I'm not after that. I'm after being involved in the decision making of my country now. So that's why, yes, we do very much want experts, Turkish Cypriot, Greek Cypriot, Cypriot experts, to sit down around the same table and to put their thoughts together to decide whether do we all want the Egyptians to come and do the drilling? Do we want the Israelis? Do we want any? Do we want Total? Who do we want? Who decides on our behalf? We want to be able to decide on our own behalf as well, and that's the main question. Thank you.
If we look back, if we step back and look at ourselves now as Cypriots, there's something unique about us. And there's a unique problem that we present. The Cyprus problem has been one of the longest problems that has been running between the United Nations and the international community, the European Union. They're all pretending that they're trying to wrap their heads to try and find a solution. Yet the solution is there. It's up to us, Cypriots. Look at us, in this room. Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots. We're so unique. How many other trouble spots in the world do people get together and sit down and discuss with each other? So, what has been the problem? The problem has been with politicians subjecting themselves to geopolitical and different political games. Now, what we haven't done is ordinary people sitting back and looking at ourselves and saying, what can we do? Ms. Deniz has actually formed an organization of few people, and they formed a political, candidates to stand up as bi-communal. Why don't we, as ordinary people, stand up and say, we can't rely on the politicians anymore. I think the time has come for us Cypriots. Let's find our own way, form a bi-communal organization. Is this something that you feel we can achieve? Bypass all the politicians.
They're very tempting, and I agree definitely by all means, but you are already doing so much more here in the UK than we are back in Cyprus. You are getting married with each other, for God's sake. Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots have been getting married for so many decades. They've been making beautiful, the most beautiful Cypriot kids, the mixed Cypriot. We can't, we still can't, we are way away from it. I mean, just
We have to tackle
you.
the disease of nationalism. That's what we need to do.
Thank you very much for that. And I just want to say to you, you know, there's no touch in the room here. No touch, I go back how many years now. But we used to work as a community, with the community workers many years ago. Was it 25 years ago now? Showing our age. But we used to work all the time, 30 years ago, with working with Cypriots. We had Cypriot organisations. We worked together. And it was such a vibrant community. We had all sorts of conferences, we had we had socials, we did all sorts of young groups, we had older groups, and these were the, these groups now have flourished and changed. But we've done all that, you see, in this country. We've done it so much because it's easier for us to do it. And it's just a shame when I go to Cyprus that I don't see it. You don't get that vibrancy. You get that polarisation, the distrust, and you think, well, it's so possible. And I think you're absolutely right. The politicians have played this in such a way that I believe, and I'm speaking personally here, I'm not speaking for any political party, I do believe that on both sides, politicians have actually become quite relaxed with the status quo. It's quite relaxed. Let's keep it as it is because it's all right for me. I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying there are many, individuals, particularly younger generations, who want change. And I agree with Ken on this. We need them to hear those positive voices. We don't hear them. We hear a sort of noise, background noise. We don't hear the positive voices we should be hearing. In this country as well, we have lost that ability to organise in the way we used to as Turkish Cypriot, Greek Cypriot communities, and it's become more and more polarised in a way that's, become ugly sometimes. But yeah, I think you're right. I'll tell you, this is my view as well. The problem with the Annan Plan and these structure of these peace talks is that you have a situation where you have the political leaders locked in a room, cut off from people, cut off from their communities, negotiating, and then they go away, they're not allowed to talk to anyone, and then somehow peace is going to happen because two men in a room, and it's always men, isn't it? Where are the women? It's always men. They always know best, locked in a room. And then when they come out of that room, somehow, the whole of Cyprus is going to unite and celebrate and dance together. It's not going to happen. You need to build it up from the grassroots. This is my observation of many, many years of being my involvement in this. And that is what is lacking in this whole peace process, and that's why I am sceptical about whether this, you know what Einstein said, you keep the sign of madness, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you expect a different result. We're doing the same thing over and over again, we're not trying anything new and radical, and that is my fear, that these presidents who are not talks at the moment are going to hit the rocks in exactly the same way, because nothing new, and the people, young people, women, men, everyone, they're not engaged in the process, they're cynical and they're fed up with it. And that's got to be addressed by politicians. And I hope that you will take that back as well, because I really think people in this country, and certainly the diaspora in this country, are just as fed up as they are in Cyprus.
May I just add on that?
Please do. I'm sorry, I'm taking that a loss.
I've been watching the Baroness admiringly I admire the way that she's been handling this. If we had people like her back at home, back in Cyprus, but what do we have? We have very, very few women in politics, and if we have just one or two, they are unfortunately doomed to be the token women. They're afraid, they're shy, just very few exceptions. But apart from that, the general just are destined to end up, they come and go as token women. We don't want token women, we want women who can just tell, sit down, you know, I'm managing this panel, who have the guts to actually manage. I mean, this is what we want in politics. If we can do that, then the Cyprus problem would have been solved long ago. But actually, yeah, it's been, I believe that we women, we have to blame ourselves as well for taking the backseat all these years and letting men negotiate and sort out the problem. So we have to push to get into those rooms. So finally, that's how we're going to solve the problem.
I think you're absolutely right. Do you, there's sort of a final sentence because we've got to be out of the room. Sorry.
Ben bu akşam çok memnun oldum. Çeşitli arkadaşlarımızın görüşlerini aldık ve hakikaten geri Kıbrıs'a giderken ilgili gidecek. Yani insanlarımızın ne düşündüğünü bu akşam çok açık seçik ortaya döktük. Teşekkür ederim. Ama unutmayalım. Hedefimiz demokrasi ve barış içerisinde sorunlara çözüm bulmaktır.
I thank you all. I learned a lot from every one of you tonight. I'm going to go back to Cyprus having learned a lot of things. I just want to underline one thing. Please do not forget our mission is to solve our problems with democracy and peace.
Ben söyleyeyim arkadaşlar. Bir kere biz birini eleştirmek için yolda değiliz. Hatalarımızı genç arkadaşımın söylediği gibi geçmişte yaşananları görüp bundan sonra yaşanmaması için çocuklarınız ve torunlarınıza yaşanabilir bir ülke ve dünya bırakmak için ve çatışma değil uzlaşmayı hedef olarak belirlemek için yoldayız ve var gücümüzle bu doğrultuda uğraşmaya devam edeceğiz. Biz artık hiçbirimizin burada veya başka ülkelerde olan hiçbir ülkedaşımızın yurt dışında yaşaması değil, barış içinde, demokratik bir düzende, kendi kendine yeterli bir rejimde, kendi ülkesinde insanca yaşaması için yoldayız. Hepinize saygılar.
We are not to criticize anybody. We are on this path so that we learn from our past mistakes and we never repeat them again in the future. We are on this path so that we learn to find the ways of reconciliation so that none of you will have to live abroad just because they are obliged to. No, but they will also have the choice to live in their own homeland, in democracy and in peace. And this is our common struggle.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, all of you have contributed. Everyone's contribution is valuable. I do apologise if I was a little bit rough with a few people, but you know, I've chaired these meetings before and I do want